Hi, I'm Dr. Kiri Haley. I'm here with Abdi Warsame. He's one of the firefighters with St. Paul Fire. Abdi, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. So just for everyone to kind of get a little bit to know you a little bit better, can you give us a little bit of your background and maybe a little bit of a story of how you got into EMS?
Yeah, background, really not much to say other than, my family came here, in the U.S., trying to, look for another life.
Mm-hmm.
So I came here when I was young, about 5-6 years old. Went to school here and thought I kind of had life figured out after, high school. So I kind of went a different route. I went to Job Corps to get vocational training and GED. And and when I was there, I didn't really was doing office medical support. So when I kind of knew I liked the medical field, but I didn't know what I wanted to do specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So the office medical support was kind of like data entry, kind of knowing how to work a computer or stuff like that. But then I realized quickly after finishing that class that sitting on the desk wasn't for me.
Sure.
So then I went into and enrolled myself on the EMS Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And back then when I went to the EMS Academy, they told me that, there weren't Somali EMTs. So I felt like we were not being represented. So I went and finished the whole EMT program. And then later on, I got my medic, and now I work for St. Paul Fire Department.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what kind of drew you to the medical field in general? I know you mentioned the office work and stuff, but did you have any experiences in your growing up or during that office time that was really solidified you saying, like, I really want to be involved in medicine?
No, when I was younger, I really didn't think of medical and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did. My little brother had asthma, and I didn't know what asthma was. I was a young kid, and just seeing my brother doing the seesaw motion with his belly,
Mm-hmm.
and having difficulty breathing, and then my mom freaking out. Like, what should I do? And then she called 911, and the St. Paul Fire Department shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And then right there, they, calm my mom down, and then start treating my brother with, albuterol, and, treating for asthma. And then he stopped the difficulty breathing, and they transported to the hospital. That was my first exposure to the EMS. And then I forgot about it years later, growing up. But I did like, how they came to my house and helped my family.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I got into, vocational training and got my medical support and then enrolled myself in EMT school, I also worked BLS. Kind of get some experience. And I didn't know the whole BLS ALS side of it. So then I went to work for Alina a little bit, and then my uncle in New York also kind of inspired me because he's a paramedic over there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and when I went over there to visit him, I did see him, working in an ambulance. But then years later, again, going to college, kind of forgot about that. After working EMT for, a couple of years and gaining, some experience, I saw the community, how they reacted to having somebody represent them in the smallest way, doing transfers and running into them in the community, and they get to ask me questions on how the EMS side works. And then I enrolled myself into paramedic school because I thought, I got to do more.
Yep.
I gotta do more, and ALS was that step. So I enrolled myself at Inver Hills Community College, and then I got my paramedic. It was 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was very long and very tough.
Yes.
But I'm happy that I went with a motivated group at that time, and most of them went through EMT class with me.
Nice.
So I had a lot of people that I knew and kind of, I can lean on to. And then once I got my medic, then I started applying, and I got hired with St. Paul Fire Department. So
that's awesome.
And now I'm here.
And here you are.
Now I'm here.
So you did, since going through the EMS Academy, that is kind of drawn for more diversity in general. Do you feel that it was really beneficial for you to have people that were a little more diverse going through schooling, or did that seem to not make a difference for you?
It's funny because our class was a unique class. It was 3 cohorts. It was 3 different classes. Mm-hmm. So it was a class that was Inver Hills was being done, and then there was a class with St. Paul Fire Department. Mm-hmm. So I got to see both sides. I got to see how they're running a little bit of the class Inver Hills and class in St. Paul. And I would say it helped immense because when I had certain issues, I can talk to people. If I wasn't aware of certain cultures or wasn't aware of something, I could ask somebody who was there or who knows something about a culture. And then it's vice versa for them. They can come and ask me more about my community, Mm-hmm. So it was very huge, and it helped a lot. And then I think it also broke down other stereotypes or biases of what other people thought of certain groups, just, by talking to, having questions and questions being answered. Mm-hmm. And then, the other thing is working, the opportunity to work with different people. So some people, could practice on somebody on IV who have a darker skin. It was normally, they find it hard to, get, or somebody who, doesn't speak a language, but then can teach you a few words of that language. So in those aspects, it helped huge.
Yeah, I think that sounds really awesome. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we really want to promote diversity within our field, because we need to serve all of our community, and not all of our community looks one way or acts one way. We need to have a good representation, and it helps everyone, in all honesty, because like you said, you get to teach each other, learn things from each other. What would you say, kind of thinking about your community, how do you feel that your community has responded to now being able to see you, St. Paul Fire uniform, medic, taking care of them?
Yeah, right now it's hard to tell anybody because we're all wearing masks, so when I go to people's houses, like they don't automatically right away realize that I can speak Somali because I'm wearing a mask, but then when I start speaking Somali, I can see like the change of trust and calming down, feeling like they have somebody they can relate to. Another thing is certain communities have fear about police, and some police don't understand a lot much about culture. So being an EMT paramedic and going into calls, if families have questions and they're scared to ask police, they can ask me. and then I can relate that to the police, and so vice versa. And the police, if they are, want to ask me a question about a way to respect a culture, way to do things, they can ask me, and then I can also, tell them. So that in that sense, it was huge.
Have you been able to serve as any kind of mentor at all now that you're through the schooling, doing the job at all? Have you?
Yes. When I got my paramedic, I did do some mentoring. I help out with the EMS Academy because I believe in it. It has produced a lot of paramedics.
It really has. Yep.
So I believed in that program because it gave me a chance. So I gave back by going out there and teaching or assisting. And one of the guys actually who's now a St. Paul firefighter, he was in that program, and I was a medic at that time. And when he was having struggles on how to take tests in FISDAP or take tests in how to different ways a question is tweaked, I would sit down with him and explain it to him, and he would understand it more when I explained it to him in Somali,
Sure.
and pass all his tests, and now he went into the fire academy, and now he's a firefighter. So
that's awesome.
So it did help, I do sometimes newer firefighters, I take the time to show them, the house. If they have questions, ask me, and I try to be more open to them, so I can, and so they can feel more welcome and part of the team, so yeah.
Well, that's a really, I just think that it is only growth for EMS and the fire department to be able to have people who represent the community and can teach everyone else more things about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and part of that, me teaching too, and sharing my experiences also came from when I was doing my ride-along at Station 14. I was working with firefighters there who are paramedics and, have different kind of specialties, hazmat, captains, drivers. And those guys did the same thing for me. They welcomed me, they showed me how to do things. And they treated me like one of them, and seeing that, I could replicate it, you know what I mean? So I owe it to those guys, they kind of showed me the way a little bit when I was going through paramedic school.
That's really empowering kind of to hear.
Yeah.
When we were kind of doing our larger group, you kind of were talking a little bit about some of the negative experiences that you have. And I do not want to dwell on the negatives at all, but do you feel that at least from those negatives, you've learned good lessons and things that you've been able to bring forward now that you are finished through things, or has it changed how you approach conflicts when it comes to discussions about your heritage, your being Somali?
Yeah, the biggest thing I do is, first of all, that actually motivated me more to, to work hard to, be a better medic. The negatives that I've had in the past is kind of, propelling me forward. But what I do is, I lost my thought there.
It's okay.
So, all those negatives, how I change it to a positive is by doing more, by giving more to the community. And now that it came back to me, sitting down with people that have certain biases and trying to explain to them, and make them understand. And then, also telling them to be more open. And obviously, that's up to them if they want to change or not. But what I can do is, by me showing up every day and working hard, that itself dispels that, and showing that I'm the best firefighter paramedic that I can be. will take some of that biases or negative away. And then the other one to add that is by sitting down with them. And I've had people just ask me, hey, I don't want to sound ignorant,
Mm-hmm.
but, how do I approach this? Or what do you think if I said this word? Is there a better way to say it? Or, and stuff like that. And then I don't get mad right away. It's like, oh, that's like very, very, racist. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them like, no, I think, this is not what you should say. You should say it this way, and explaining to them, So, yeah, that's what I do.
That's really great. I think that it's really inspiring how you've been able to take things that are very negative,
Yeah.
and what other people would really could potentially just dwell on
Yeah.
and get angry about, and you've been able to really turn it into a very positive thing and a positive thing for the St. Paul Fire,
Yeah.
for the EMS community, and for your community
Absolutely.
that you live in. And I think that's really inspiring for a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you.
When you think about the bad things that have happened in the past for you, is it something that you had to grow up with your entire life, or was there anything in particular different when you've kind of entered more this realm where we don't have as much diversity in terms of EMS?
Yeah.
Because we just don't. We know the numbers. There's not a lot of diversity within EMS. So was there a difference in how things went from when you were younger to entering a field that is definitely not?
That's a good question. I can honestly say is when I was young or when I was growing up, I didn't run into that. If it happened,
Mm-hmm.
I must was too young and not really caught on it or something like that. But in previous jobs that I've held, I've never had any issues. I've worked, and I haven't had any problems. But when I started EMS, I might have seen a couple of incidents like that where it was negative, but I didn't let it deter me. I would say more coming to EMS. I'm pretty sure other people of different backgrounds have their own stories, and
Mm-hmm.
they might say that they've had it in their life all their life, pretty much. But no, I can't think of a time before EMS I was starting having a lot of negatives.
Mm-hmm.
In school, I got picked on just
Sure.
a little bit, but that didn't change me. I just grew up from that environment. But work-wise, I've never had any issues prior to that.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that when you've been able to have conversations now with people, when you've had some kind of conflict or an encounter with bias, that you've been able to express yourself and have a good conversation with people? Do you think people have been receptive to what you've been saying?
Yeah, sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes it comes as a joke,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, or sometimes it will just come blatantly straightforward. Either way, I try to always not take that situation take the best of me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'll see. Obviously, are they an open person? Are they responding well to what I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
them? And if they are, then I'm gonna keep going and keep talking to that person and keep showing him good and explaining to him. If they are straight up, I don't want to listen to you, I don't care, this is where I stand,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm gonna just leave him to be, because I can't change it. You can't force anybody to change, really. So that's kind of what I do.
When you have now been out on the streets for a little while, being able to respond to calls as a medic and everything. Has there been experiences where you've had patients that were not receptive to you? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, granted, if the patient is altered,
yeah,
I don't take anything that you say, to offense. But if somebody is, alert or and they're with it and they know they're just saying things to really hurt you, still, I'm a professional. I try to keep it professional. Well, I'll give it a shot to explain to them, hey, that's not nice things to say, and I'll explain to them. But I see if it's not going anywhere, I'll just keep silent, keep professional. But what I do like is when my crew hears that, they also step in for me. So sometimes I might not even have to say, hey, that's not nice to say. My captain would be like, you don't talk to my medics like that. Or one of the drivers would be like, that's not really good. And then they can see somebody who's older than them or somebody they can relate to. Be like, okay, yeah, maybe I was wrong. And then they apologize. Those that are good. People make mistakes and say some things. Then they apologize, and then we get along. But those that don't, then we just kind of keep it professional. Just get them where they need to be. And then my crew will talk to me afterwards and be like, hey, that person was being really, racist or being really picky on you. Don't let that get to you. And by my partners and my crew realizing that, that gives me more motivation. Like, I'm in good hands. My crew understands me, so I have nothing to worry about. If they didn't say anything, then if you're quiet, you're kind of like, it's almost like you're agreeing with that person. So that kind of would make me a little bit nervous and make me question my, why didn't none of them said anything or anything like that. But most of the time, if somebody doesn't checks the person, we just stay professional.
No, I think that's really great to hear. And I think that really speaks to kind of something we were talking to is the larger group of saying something and being supportive.
Yeah.
Do you feel that that's really a good key role that your partners who may not experience the same racism or biases that you do, is that a good role for them to have? And how do you think that we can help grow that role for people?
I think, way to grow it really is to do more teaching, I guess. And it doesn't have to be mass teaching, it could be individual teaching. But at the same time, I'd say is togetherness, because I think that's one way to defeat it. I guess when I first joined the fire department, once I joined, I was in a brotherhood now. So that togetherness makes it, fight for each other. So I guess what I would say is a way to help that is we got to find a way that can get people to be in that kind of brotherhood.
Yeah, no, I like that.
You know what I mean? State. Because if you feel like this person is my brother in this whatever fight we're having in this world, then I'm gonna step up for him. And I think that's what our simple fire department, is good at. We step up for each other, as a brotherhood, and ways I guess that can help that even in the civilian life and in the outside world is also having people meet, eat together. Obviously, at the firehouse, we all sleep at the same firehouse. But do more activities, I guess, that's more inclusive. That makes people feel like that and breaks a little bit of their barriers.
Oh,
Make them feel.
Yeah,
like
no,
they're
I really
brothers.
like that, because I feel like I've heard things out there about different kind of something called bystander training. So like teaching you how to respond as someone who's not receiving the racism or not receiving the sexism, but how to respond to that. And I think that's a good stepping stone in terms of like learning some skills and some words and how to diffuse situations.
Yeah.
But I think a key element that probably you need to be able to actually put that into your daily life is
yes.
to make that connection with people and to make
Absolutely.
it feel like you're feeling responsible for the people who are around you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I really like that. What would you like to see kind of moving forward, or a next step in terms of getting diversity and inclusion within EMS and connecting with the communities more? What are some things that you really love to see?
What I would like to see in EMS in general is more people of color, working in the field to help, bridge gaps and help out with those things that people run into daily. I like to see more work, not just the EMS also, because fire can do so much, police can do so much, but also hospitals too, to hire more people, to also go out to communities. That's inclusive, give people chances, I have, when I went through the academy, and I worked my, through the years, the people that are around me believed in me. And then when that time came, if it was to get a job or something, they gave me a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing is give people a chance, just because people put out biases or say things, don't close somebody's chance because of that. So, yeah, I like to see more chances being given out to people to show what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think a good thing fire and police do also is they get in the communities and know people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if I know somebody, then I'm going to have more connection.
Yep.
So I won't blow them off or, So if you're right there, in their houses or in the community, go to places where people, meet and hang out and know people,
Mm-hmm.
learn their food, learn their languages, if you can.
Mm-hmm. Even a few words, right?
A few words, yeah. So I like to see a lot more in EMS personnels that work jobs
Mm-hmm.
to really, other than meeting patients on calls, but to also go out of their comfort zone and to go to events that the community have.
Mm-hmm.
And not just obviously just stand there and just show that you're there, but engage, get to know people's families, friends. That way, when you are faced with a difficult challenge, you know what to do. You're going to treat that person like it's your family.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to fight any other, I would like to say, biases or stereotypes. You're not gonna take that. So that's what I would say. A lot of people are, in EMS specifically, are I like to keep to themselves, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing, But I would like to say to get a different perspective is also to be out there in your community.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really powerful thing to say too. I mean, it's very true. We kind of like go to our job, we work our You're 24,
shift.
you work your shift, you go home.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sometimes the beauty of EMS and emergency medicine, and that we're shift workers and fire too, but being present in the community, because that's ultimately what we're doing, is we're serving a community of people, and being present is a huge part that I think we are lacking on.
Yes.
And would probably help bridge a lot of gaps that
absolutely.
we have in the fears of the community. Do you think the community itself would be really receptive?
I think first the community, just like any other community, at first they'd be having questions. They'd be like, why is this person here? Or why are they in uniform? But as soon as they see that person coming and showing that they care, and showing that they want to know people, and showing that they want to help, that brings down all the barriers for them, and brings a level of trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'd say that's one huge thing. And with EMS companies out there, I'd say, invest. If you in a service area where you have communities, invest in them. In terms of education, in terms of hiring and putting money into where the communities can have benefit from, and then also EMS can have benefit from, fundraising or something like that, where the money is going to the community, but that gives a chance for the EMS and personnel or staff to be out there engaging with them. Also, gives them that opportunity. So invest in schools, in people, invest in communities, all that good stuff.
I think that's a really good idea, and something that I think all EMS can look for, because we're the entryway into the medicine a lot of time, and people's first impressions with medicine. And so if we can build that trust, maybe we can help build that for the rest of their healthcare experiences.
Absolutely.
Even. Yeah. Abdi, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you.